discussion. Obviously, we're going to be teaching, but open discussion for how we started our business back in 2001 when we originally got licensed. Discussing when we say expansion and leverage, it's not expanding to other states or really markets. It's more expansion of your business, how to grow a team. If you're not looking to grow a team, how to grow your organization within the brokerage. When we first started, it was different because it was almost like growing your business to get to the point where you can open a brokerage to save in fees, but those days are kind of gone. Now it's more of the mega teams. It's more of growing a team within a brokerage, since you can go under a platform like ours to be able to run a business, cost-wise, still be able to run a business and flourish and not have you stuck in handcuffs by the golden handcuffs, we call them, or the golden fees that usually end up making a team leave to a company like ours, or just scratching the idea and opening your own brokerage, which we don't recommend doing, by the way. This may look like it's overnight, but it's 17 years to do this. It's taken Jereme to get here. We weren't growing or we weren't recruiting when we first started, obviously, but a little background is we started in 2001. We went to high school together, if you guys didn't know that, went to real estate school together, got licensed together. And we came up with the concept of My Home Group in 2001. We bought the domain name in actually 2001. Couldn't start the brokerage legally until 2005, really, is when it opened. But we had conceptually the idea of what we wanted to do, which was really at first it was like a team. It was going to be us. It was going to be us growing and just doing production. So that's what we did. Fast forward to the crash and all that stuff. We weathered that the best we could and trimmed the fat where we had to trim and kept our office, which we were 1,400 square feet. We still leased the space in this building out. That's where we were at one point for many years. So, from that to this. But we realized, okay, if we're going to do this and continue with My Home Group, we have to really put the recruiting hat on and start growing a business, which is no different than what you guys are doing with your current business in place if you are just an individual agent or growing a team. So, first hire we did, first hire was actually my sister, who was like processor / transaction coordinator. So, I see a lot of comments and posts in our Facebook group, and it's like, I'm looking for a buyer's agent, or I'm looking for another agent, and that's great, but it's more hiring that administrative person first. Before you get to bringing on another complicated, personality, you have to bring on the administrative person that's going to manage your day-to-day paperwork, sky slope, preparing addendums, timelines, the BINSR, all that stuff that goes into, one agent, 2 or 3 transactions, that's okay, but once you start doing more, it becomes a bit more of a daunting task. So before you even look at bringing on that other agent, it should be the first hire should be an administrative person, or utilizing our TC department and using a transaction coordinator if you don't want to bring someone on full time. But if you look at a lot of the teams and companies out there, they have their own. They bring on their own transaction coordinator because they want them to be focused on their business. But as you grow and expand, you can utilize and leverage off of us for the onesie, twosie, or again, having that person for at least all your transactions until you hire. Because that first hire, it is a cost, but it's also the cost when we talk leverage. Now we get into leverage. The cost isn't so that you can hang out. The leverage of it is so you can prospect, or so you can do more business, so that you can get out there and start getting more listings, start getting more buyers, start making more relationships with CPAs, financial planners, things of those nature. Start really building a business and building your brand. I see a lot of agents that do that, and it's not that they go to sleep or they don't do the work. They hire somebody, but they do the same amount of volume. So it's like they're lightening the load. Who's that little guy? It's your son. Yeah. It's really lightening the load, and they're not growing. They're just lightening their load and like, oh, I've got more time on my hands. And if that's what you want, that's okay, but the idea is to lighten the load so you can build your business. I'm making them on. Encourage the little guys. So when we brought that first person on too, we were a little scared because this is a person that we're paying $15-16 an hour to. It was full time, and we were younger, 25 at the time, I believe. So we were oh gosh, we've got this person, we've got this overhead of a space that we took on. And we had about 10 people total within the organization, some agents and some loan officers, because we did have a mortgage side of things as well. But it was scary. But
has anyone been with us since we were in that little office over there at 1,400 square feet?
I don't.
Joe came in this morning. I don't know if anyone, I was talking, and he used to rent an office from us if you were in that space.
Out of that space.
Sometimes like we look around like what we're doing now, and it's just like scary, right? Like we're like, holy hell, like we're taking on all this space and all this things, like it's right. It's like these are the conversations kind of piggyback a little bit, that Mark and I, like to have, with you guys. That's why we want to do this. We want to be doing more, things where we can sit down and get in these roundtable discussions and talk about the points of your guys' business that you're at. So this is kind of what today's about, is like a loose fitted type of a mastermind, right? Because again, the concepts, and many of you have maybe heard this before, but the concepts of what we're doing on the brokerage level, building a business, are the same things that you guys are doing right now. A lot of you guys might feel, well, I'm doing everything. Like I do it all. That's what Mark and I were. We were recruiters, we were brokers, we were agents in production, we were support, we were training, we were orienting people, we were accountants, we were doing everything. And now, obviously, you guys, as you guys all know, you look around and we have a tremendous staff and people that are helping us. But I mean, again, the concepts of building a business and bringing on. So, are you guys to that point, that it's time to start looking at, the first hire? Is it time to start, looking at ways to expand, ways to grow, ways to get to the next level? So we want to talk about a few of those things with you guys. So does anybody have any of that? I guess to kind of open it up a little bit, does anybody have any points of weakness in their or business?
I have a question. Mark, did I hear you say that we have a transaction processing department that I could lean on if I was
where you been?
In trouble?
Just curious, where have you been?
Seriously.
No, we do.
Where
you
do?
Yeah, it's if you go in the Facebook Mastermind, our cover photo in there has staff and transaction coordinators. Our back office has all the transaction coordinators. You're welcome, would have gotten, but it's
like per deal transaction, and an actual full-on transaction coordinator.
You pay them per file at the end, $300 a file. Some range $300 to $400, let's say, but regardless, that's not the point. And then once it closes, it comes out of your closing check, and then you get the difference, and just like that. And they have a checklist of items, so they abide by a checklist, seller and buyer check side, so you know exactly what to expect. They get your usernames and passwords for SkySlope, for Armless, for everything you need, and I mean, if you're not doing it, you should be regardless. You should always learn the transaction itself, understand the inner workings of it, but for $300 to $400 to leverage that time and effort where you can use it elsewhere, you can make up that immediately, obviously. So if you want the info on it, I'll send it to you, but it's on the back office.
I mean, everybody should be using a
get
TC transaction coordinator by this point, right? Again, if you're doing your first couple deals, kind of understand the process, but I mean, everybody hopefully by this point should be doing it. And again, everything that we're talking about, it's not so that we can work on our TAMs, which I know you love to do. It's so that we can obviously, what's the next closest to the dollar activity, right? What's the single most thing, and again, you guys hear these things on multiple channels. What's the single most thing right now in your business that moves the needle more than anything else? And that could be different. That's going to be different for everybody. If you could only do one thing today, tomorrow, and the next day to generate business, what would it be?
Database calls.
So phone calls.
Yeah,
into your database.
that's the question you ask yourself every day.
So, are you doing enough of that? So you say no immediately. You're not doing enough of it. That's a problem, right? That's a problem. If that's the number one most important thing in your business, then you should be doing that every single day, all day, or as much as it takes until you start annoying people. You don't want to go too far, right? But you need to be doing it enough, right? So what are the things that you can take away? Guys, what is your time worth? How much is your time worth per hour?
It's hundreds, right? It's hundreds. It's
Yeah.
Sometimes it's priceless.
Lori, what's your time worth per hour?
500, 600, 700 an hour.
A lot.
Guys, we should know
More
this,
than a
right?
transaction coordinator.
You
Yeah,
made
exactly.
X amount.
Although they're worth a lot.
You made X
They
amount.
are, but
They're worth every penny.
That is
Yeah.
not the best use of your time.
But the point is
but
that
it's
you made
important.
X amount last year. You made X amount divided by 2,000 hours, 2,080 hours, whatever it is. If we're working 40 hours in a week, which is a vacation for half of us, right? At 48 hours, we're 48 hours a week. But your time is worth X amount. So if your number one function is to make more calls because you're getting paid $150, $200 an hour, $75 an hour, right? You're getting paid. You're the CEO, right? You're the CEO of your business. Every person in this room. You guys all hang your hats with my home group. We're where you hang your hat. You guys are the CEOs of your business, right? And if your time is worth 75 or 100, you should be doing the most important, closest to the dollar functions. You shouldn't be ordering inspections and putting on lock boxes and taking pictures, whatever, right? Take that all away. So that comes back into those leverage points, right? If you're feeling busy, or if you're getting backed up on showings or wherever it is, or getting bogged down with paperwork, like if we're on the TC, topic, if you're getting bogged down with these things, how can you sub it out? Are you going to go hire somebody for $150 an hour? What you're worth? No, right? But you're going to not pay yourself $150 anymore, and you're going to hire somebody for 12 or 15, right? And again, it's not so that we can go relax. It's so that you can do the single most important thing in your business, right? So sub it out. It's like a buyer's agent. Is anybody backed up right now a day or 2 or 3 in showings? Or are they ever finding themselves bogged down, like I can't accommodate all these buyers? I'm running all over town, right? Let's start thinking, how do we stop that? How do we stop that? Why can't we bring on a buyer's agent or a showing assistant? You're the guy. It's your client. You interface with them. You interact and you talk and text and communicate. You lead, you have the value. You're the pro, right? You search the MLS, you tell them what's good opportunities, right? When it comes time to make a deal, you write the offer, negotiate it, you do the bids or do the whole thing. You just don't go show 10 properties, because that's not the best use of your time, right? So you get somebody to go show 10 properties, and now they want to see their favorite 2. Now you go show, because why? It's time to make money, right? Now it's the best use of your time. So if I can give, you guys, I don't know if anyone's ever posted in the mastermind group on, say, hey, look, I need somebody to show a couple homes, or whatever it may be. But there's people chomping at the bit that will show homes for $50 a door, or you can shave off 5% or 10% of the commission. They say, hey, look, I need you to show these 10 properties. If they pick one of these 10, I'll give you 10% of the commission. Somebody could go show for a day and make $500-600. But what are you doing with that time, right? Enhance the experience with that client, deliver more value, maybe do a write-up on everything they're going to see, which takes 10 minutes, not 6 hours.
Or be doing an open house and prospecting.
Or do an open house and get the next client, right? Or the next phone call for the next client. But you guys all have a responsibility, just like we have a responsibility, to constantly be evaluating and identifying the things that you can leverage out, for the sake of today's title. Leverage out or sub out, right? What else can you sub out of your business? If it's a transaction coordinator, for starters, you just took X amount of hours away. At a $300 cost or $400 cost, or whatever it is, that's a great deal, right? That's a smoking deal for that.
Are you excited now that we got it, Henry?
I had a different angle there, what Jereme was alluding to. Is my wife and I travel quite a bit. But I know out in my calendar, I have a 2 and 3 week window where I'm out of the country.
Well, and that's okay.
A no-brainer there.
And that's certainly okay. It's so you can if it is for traveling, it's for peace of mind. If it's for that you're just not good at paperwork, or that you're not good at time frames, that's okay. But it's just identifying that weakness. And for you in this situation, if that's the case, you're approaching years where you want to do more traveling, not a big deal at all. But that $300, that $400 spent, is that peace of mind worth it? When you're out of town, that the file doesn't blow up and not close, then you got $0. So it's really on for you. Like when we were saying, you're the CEO, you run. It's on whatever is important for you, but it should always relate back to focusing on your business and focusing on the growth and the close to dollar activities to getting to the point to where you're always, your job is to be filling the pipeline, so to say, always filling the pipeline and always be carving at your database. I mean, you need to be putting in new deals, you need to be putting in prospects, and you need to be nurturing your database and reaching out to them and making that overall experience that much better. Because once you get 2, 3, 4 years plus in the business, the teeter effect happens to where 50 to 60% of your business now starts to become repeat and referral, and it's not that you're doing less lead generation, but the more deals that you're closing comes from what you've already done. And that's when you know you're doing a successful job. And that's when you know, okay, I can try to replicate myself by bringing on now a buyer's agent or somebody who can prospect or lead generate like you do, so you can double, triple your business. When you look at agents and teams that have come here and doubled or tripled their business, it's not so much body, it's the amount of lead generation they're doing. They're doubling or tripling their efforts in lead generation, which means they're tripling up what they're putting in their pipeline, which means their conversion rate's going to be higher, and they're going to be closing more. It's a natural progression if you're doing that much more. But when you do that, and when you do expand and start prospecting more and start filling the pipeline, that means your back end has to be really strong. And that's where Jereme and I, when we were doing this, I mean, we couldn't continue to be the accountant and everything to ourselves, and in SkySlope doing things. We couldn't. It has to be. We knew our back office, our back end, our staff has to be just as strong as we were. In fact, stronger. You can always hire a stronger person for administrative, in my opinion. I mean, we're the first to tell you, we're good at it, but I mean, they're better in place. That's the idea, is we want to hire better in those positions, because we know that we can lead generate and recruit better than anybody else. That's where we shine, and that's our strength. But we've recognized that. We've determined, we know that we cannot be stuck in. Main reason why Jereme is no longer the designated broker anymore, why we have a designated broker, because Jereme's skills and my skills are better suited serving the brokerage and growing the brokerage in your guys' business as opposed to taking broker calls. Doesn't mean that's not important, because it's very important so that we don't get in trouble, but it's also for us to get to that next step and the next level of 2,000, 3,000 plus agents in multiple marketplaces. We have to focus on growth.
And I just wasn't a good broker.
Yeah, and he was a terrible broker. He was awful.
John and Larry, they're just better than I am, period. So.
And there is a joke, but truth to that, but in a good way. In a good way, meaning like, yeah, we want someone better.
But in all seriousness, I mean, it is true. But that's the whole point of like identifying strengths, right?
Yeah.
Like that's not my strength. So why am I spending time doing that? It's not the best use of my time. I get, if you get frustrated,
it's
or
annoying,
you don't like doing it, right? Like it's like, how can I get rid of that? Like how can I? So then we can then focus on what is the most important, right? Again, the concepts are the same.
2 months ago, we wouldn't be able to sit and do this class together,
right?
Because we were more dealing with brokerage type issues as opposed to this is growth, this is fun, this is what we're good at. Sitting in a room with everybody and helping you determine what your weaknesses are, determining how you can leverage now, not look at a big team and try to compare yourself to a large team out there.
And guys, yeah.
To this moment, today.
And I don't know that everybody gets into real estate thinking, I'm going to be a team leader,
That's
or
true.
I'm going to be a leader, or I'm going to be a manager,
or the top
all
dog.
those things. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone necessarily thinks that. I don't know that we even thought that when we first got in, but I think that it is something that we do have to be thinking about now, right? Like I think we have to work on those skills. All of us in the room, like we have to work on those skills of being a leader, right? Like if you're going to be bringing on people, if you're going to be bringing on staff, even if it's one person, right? I mean, you have to be to lead yourself, right? You have to be able to lead the way for someone else. So every single top producer on planet Earth, probably every top business or company on planet, they have their right hand person. I mean, it just about never fails, right? Especially in this business, right? Every single top producer you can look around, they have their right arm, right? And a lot of times they said, I bought this person, I believed in them, I couldn't afford them, right? I took a chance with them. I didn't know if I was quite there, but I knew I had the business, right? Like you hear these stories over and over and over, right? I paid them $50 an hour, now they're making this, right? You know, so you hear these. I mean, guys, all day long, Mark and I have always been big believers in we would rather have a person than a technology or some system that goes up and down or that you can't rely on or whatever. Like, guys, human beings, like people, resources, right? I mean, if you find that person that's your strong right arm, they will pay for themselves.
Absolutely.
We've all heard that. You go out and look for a $12 an hour employee, you're going to get a $12 an hour person that applies, right? It's wildly different because we just went through this, replacing our person, our gal up front. Or if you look for somebody that wants to make $18 an hour, you get a wildly different candidate, right? You know, you hear people that say, "Hey, look, I'm a $100,000 a year person," or they come 150, 200. Like, a lot of times those people pay for themselves. We all know that, right? They pay for themselves. So, and again, it's not that. So, if we're looking to bring somebody on, it's not that okay, they want to make $40,000 a year, so I have to buy it out. Like, wow, I made X amount last year, and I, that's 40,000. You know, like I don't know. Look, it's not a $40,000 investment, right? I mean, 40,000 divided by a quarter. I mean, you'll know within 90 days if this person is gonna make it. So it's a $12,000 investment, right? If this person is gonna make it, and they're gonna replace that, revenue themselves, and or help you replace that revenue, right?
That's why hiring.
Then you'll know.
Important. Yeah, then you'll know, and it's a good point of not being 40,000. It's that portion of that because it's that 90 days. But that's why it's important on that hiring process up front. A lot of people use Miles-Briggs, they use Disick, they use a couple other things. Their gut, yeah. that tip usually is a good one. But there's also really good interviewers. There's also people that can go into an interview and they're just likable people. We had it happen here. Very likable person. And the first day it's like, "Who are you?" Like, "We hired you." I hired her. My fault. But the thing is
clearly it's still top of mind.
Yeah, that one stung.
Trying to move past it.
That one stung. But it did lead to a great person that we have now.
Yes.
But either way, it's important to where I bet if I took a couple more hours or interviews going over some certain questions, and they don't have to necessarily be the DISC profile or any of that stuff. It could be your questions. What's important to you? Have them answer your profile, because and again, when they answer, you tell them no right or wrong answer. Answer honestly. You'll get a good idea from that piece if it's somebody that's going to fit the profile. But the hiring right is the point. But you aren't, and once you do hire the right person, in those first 90 days, that $12,000 or whatever it is going to pay itself back. And we've had it happen multiple times. If you look at our staff of 13, 14 people. Every one of those persons is helping us grow and make more money. And it's the same with you guys. So yes, it's a big staff. Yes, it's a big overhead, but we couldn't do it without them. We could not be here without those folks, without leveraging what we've done, without doing that, period, end of story. So the same goes with you guys. And like Jereme said, it may not be that you want to do 100 or 200 deals a year. It may be that you want to do, your goal is to do 50 to 75 deals a year.
Or quality of life, or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great living. There's lots of things in real estate. You don't have to be a mega team or a top guy. You don't have to be up on that list. You don't. It feels good to get there, and you could have months where you do, but you just have to look at what you want out of it. But to grow and to get there, regardless, I promise you, you're going to have that right-hand gal or that right-hand guy. You're going to have your person that's going to help you get there. Being a husband-wife seems great. You got two minds, but ultimately there's going to be, you got to have somebody to divide and be that person that's like, here's where you got to be, here's where you got to be, here's what's going on with this, so on and so forth. It makes not only your life easier, more organized, and when you start looking at the P&L and how much more you can get from it, more business you can get from it, that $15, $17, $18 an hour you're spending really is like, I should be paying you more. And that's what happens. That person deserves more. They're going to help you grow more. And it, like Jereme said, they were making 15, now they're making X amount, whatever it is. So when we made that change, when we started, from figuring out we had to recruit, we figured, the blood was on the streets. We were somewhat complacent as a brokerage. We weren't growing. We weren't trying to really grow. It It was, like I said, 10 or so people of us, and it was us doing production. When we decided to do it, it's the same reasons or concepts if you're deciding to grow a team, or I'm going to be number one, or I am going to make the leaderboard, I'm going to do 300 transactions. Again, we had to, it's a leap of faith, and that happens in business. You have to do leaps of faith. You're going to find out in business, you're going to fail. It's going to happen. We did a podcast on it recently on The Dose, where you're failing forward, failing often, and it's just going to happen. So that's something you have to embrace. We've failed plenty of times since when we started 2012 with this big recruiting piece. So many things that we did wrong. The beauty of it is that's where we learned, and that's where we grew the most from it. But when we decided to do it, that was the biggest thing. We both said, we're making the decision, this is what we're doing. It didn't happen fast enough for us, but that's the way it always kind of seems to work out. But we did it. We got to our initial goals, and now we're working on the second set. So the same principles, though, that we did when it came to hiring, and then when it came for us recruiting, is the same principles when you're hiring that person and you're prospecting. It's like recruiting. You're prospecting for your next seller. You're prospecting for your next buyer. We were recruiting for our next great agent, recruiting for the next person to be a part of what we were doing. And it's the same with your business. You're bringing on somebody, a buyer or seller, to be a part of your business and what you're doing to help you grow. That person is going to refer more people, just like agents refer more people in here because they see what's going on and they want to take part of it. So that's why when we talk about your back end, you're behind the scenes, the stuff that clients don't see, they just see you being the forefront. That has to run smooth, wowing your clients and creating that perfect experience from start to finish is kind of the next piece I want to talk about, because it's very important. It's along the lines of how we run here, and we use this as an example because it's the best way. Is your experience with us, the brokerage, from onboarding to your first deal that you close, your first year with us. You know, we like feedback. We ask for it. We constantly are asking for it, and we make mistakes too. You know, we make mistakes. Things happen. People are human. People make mistakes. And the same is going to happen with you in your business. It's going to happen where you make a mistake, something happens, but it's how you deal with the mistake. It's how you fix the issue, or it's how you create it. I see so many things when it comes to customer service, lacking customer service, I should say, these days, where it's like, oh, well, it happened, it is what it is, and move on. It's like, no. You know, a lot of the times, consumers, including agents, are okay with the mistake so long as your behavior and how you handle it is appropriate. You know, and I get it. Buyers are tough. Sellers can be jerks. They are sometimes the worst to deal with. But they're paying us to do a job, and it's our job to serve them. So who cares what happens, right? It could be a million things. I talk about this in one of the classes I teach, where we can control our attitude, and we can control how we are. We can't control the jerk on the other end of the phone or in the transaction, but we can control our attitude and our behavior, which, it's shocking how it happens. It rolls down the hill, and when you're that way, suddenly they have a sense of relief, or, you know what, you're right, start apologizing to each other, right? That's always how it happens. But, you know, when you get that, not arrogant, but when you get that person that's just, they're not wrong, you know, I do this business this way, and this is how I do it, and I did it right, it's arrogant, yeah. They lose. It's arrogant, Carl. They lose, you know, you're fighting this, and it's never going to win. You messed up, or whoever messed up, maybe your staff messed up. That's where your skills really come in, is throwing yourself on the sword for your staff. You can't bury your staff member. It just makes you look stupid. Right. Why'd you hire him? Well, why are you having this person work for you if they're so terrible, Mark? So sometimes as a leader, that's what we have to do. Leaders, that's why leaders are so good at that, why they lead well, is because they can conversate, they can take responsibility, understand and learn from it, and grow. You know, if you look at a leader, they'll never blame. You know what? That's my fault. You know, whatever this little hiccup was in the transaction, and it could have nothing to do with you, but you know what? It does, because it's your team, it's your business. And you can always figure a way to make sure that never happens again. So that's, you know, that customer client service is all part of growth and leveraging as well as you are building your business. Because that is what creates the raving fans, and where people are actually going to want to use you again and refer you, because they do. Once they find their right person, oh, you got to use my person. They always want to use it. They want to do that. But the moment you, in real estate especially, you're damned to them. You're never allowed back in the circle of trust again, because it is a big investment. But so right now, if someone wants, if I can use someone as an example, maybe I'll use you two as an example, because we've been talking recently. You guys are fresh to growing your business.
Right.
6 months in? 8 months in?
Really, we're a year.
Is it a year in?
It's kind of.
Or didn't one of you start earlier?
No,
and then-
I'm about a month and a half in. I just left my corporate
That's what it
job.
was. Okay. So, but you guys are fresh to starting. So, and you're doing a new veteran thing that you're.
Hold
that
this
you're
real
putting
quick,
in place.
actually. I want to even take a different direction real quick, and maybe we can go wherever you're going, because I don't know what the hell that is.
I'm going as
Okay,
using
no,
an
no,
example of
that's
their
good, that's
business.
good.
It's a perfect
I
example. of them growing.
I wanted to come back as it pertains to you guys.
Interrupt.
We were following you, Mark.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go back.
Just
Go back.
Jeremy can't follow
Yeah.
you.
Let him go on his yeah. he can
Well, I
go.
wanna meet
afterwards.
No, we won't.
I just wanted to come back to knowing what our time is worth, and being the CEO. What CEO on the planet doesn't know how much their time is worth? Right? Like everyone, we all should know what it is. And again, it's like, is this worth my hour? Right? If I'm making X amount per hour, is this worth my hour? So part of knowing that is to know our numbers. We've all been preached to 100 times of knowing our numbers and what do those look like, but we just don't do it. And we're guilty. Guys, I'm only saying this because we're just as guilty as anybody. Nobody likes to sit down and review their numbers. Nobody likes to go through the Amex bill. Nobody likes to go through their expenses, right? As Lori Rosso has on the Amex bill, she gets it. Nobody likes to do that, right? It's hard. It's hard. We try to do a little thing every single month and reviewing the Amex and saying, what can we remove, right? What can we take off? What recurring expense is not working, is a waste, can be put over here? What can we clip, right? Does everybody even have a P&L, right? And where I was going to start to step on my boy's toes here is for you guys as it pertains, do you have a P&L? And if you guys are a team, and especially in a relationship, right? What's the operating agreement look like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you guys with teams, look, and partners in your business, do you guys have an operating agreement? What business out there doesn't have an operating agreement? Right? These are the things that I thrive in, right? These are the things that I thrive in. Here's a list of things we all hate. That's what we'll hire for, right? There's the list for the first admin to do. You know what I mean? But I think it's a powerful thing to, especially in a situation like to have an operating agreement. Just like a traditional business would, as business owners, right? You know what I mean? Carl, what's your operating agreement look like?
Carl's got a P&L operating. He's got it all.
Yeah.
Carl's got it
And
all.
I apologize, I missed the beginning. I'm sure you went through this, but when you say that, it gets me so excited that because when we look at a P&L, I always talk about that's like a lagging indicator. How'd you do, right?
Absolutely.
And then the business plan and the operating, how are we structured to move forward? And when you try to leverage, my whole thing is, because I overthink things, I'm really anal about that, and which makes me not do things, because I sit around and think about it all the time and then talk constantly and don't make a decision. Just trying to make a joke. So my point is, what is, decisions based on cash flow and decisions based on profitability. And when I'm a single agent looking at hiring an assistant, making that leap of faith, you also have to have a decision-based thought process that's anchored on a future cash flow. So you guys probably already went there. I apologize, I bring it up again, but.
No, we did go there a little bit, right?
Okay.
And we talked about, you don't look at the full year of some, that they want, the full year salary, because you're gonna know within 90 days, sometimes less, on if they're gonna essentially pay for themselves.
And you have to hold yourself accountable. That's why you have the P&L, which is your big old friggin' red light that says stop. It's not working.
Right.
Exactly. So with you two, where I was going is that almost not specifically on the P&L and the operating agreement, but what you guys are doing is you're growing, and because you're fresh, it's a great example. And I like the direction you guys have had. You've done a great job branding and a new venture you're doing within with veterans. So have you guys, since you're starting to get it going, what would be right now your biggest struggle or question that maybe you have as far as, I know you haven't done an admin yet, right? Because you're both together and you haven't done a TC yet, right? You guys were doing it all yourself.
Right.
Okay, so right now, what is that one thing that you guys feel like maybe was more difficult than you thought it was going to be when you first started? Because I see you guys out there and you've done a great job with the videos and the branding and it's really looking good. So I really want to see what that now is, because now you're going to get to that point where you're going to be getting busy.
Right.
And what's the one thing right now?
Well, I think, feel free to jump in here at any point. It's really exactly what you're talking about, and that is, don't confuse activity with results. So what's lead gen, what's going to put money in the bank, versus, Christine's been wrestling with a solar lease for hours per day. For days now, it's some things like that. It's the paperwork and the admin, and given some of this, obviously it's got to be more hands-on than others, but it's exactly what you guys are talking about. And that is, we're spending time doing stuff rather than doing what we're good at, which is face-to-face and having some good communication.
And that's great, because now
Those
you've
things are
got the
gonna happen,
pain
right?
points.
And they're gonna happen, right? I mean,
Right.
the business, working in the business is gonna happen, it has to, right? I mean, it's next to impossible to sub out every single last piece of the, unless you just completely get out of production, right? And have a team that is all in production, you know what I mean?
Right.
But you have to experience it, and you are, which is good. So what you can take from it, just like every transaction, there should be some type of lesson learned from it. Like if it's solar, you could know next time around, if you do hire or bring on a TC, which I think you guys should start to do or look at
Right,
least.
yeah.
Because for what you're doing, it's not going to be an operating cost short of that closing. Because if something happens and it doesn't close, it's not going against a recurring,
Right.
because it's not hourly. You can almost pack it into the cost of the sale.
Absolutely.
You won't have to, or you don't have to work with that again. You may have to get involved, because just like if a deal goes south, that's when you step in, because that is an important piece, because that's to deal with money and
Right.
commission. So, but not everything, like Jereme said, you can pawn off. But what I can see with you guys is that that's going to help you focus on what you're trying to do with the veterans and in your new program that you're launching.
Right.
Is interview a couple TCs. And get used to working with them and the flow of having somebody else involved in your business. Then maybe you look at what an admin looks like. How many deals have you guys, and I'm not putting you on the spot,
No,
but
that's okay.
year to date, this year?
This year we're about, half dozen.
That's great. That's great for your first real year in business. Because I recall your first couple of months, though, you weren't at it fully, right? You were making a transition too.
Right, so I was, but Christine wasn't.
Right.
So.
Where I was going is how we can help, at least with what you're doing, to help you get to. Do you have a goal set or a commitment set for deals this year? What you wanted to do?
Yeah. Yes. 38.
Okay, so you're far off.
Way off the mark. So I will say, we started the
That's
year
good,
at
though.
38, but I gotta say, rather than revising, I appreciate.
Don't revise.
No,
Never,
exactly. It's not to
ever
do that. It's not
revise.
to do that.
Yeah,
And it's
don't
been
revise.
Never
better
revise.
as we move through the year. We just gotta kick ass.
So the one
Um,
thing
so,
that
yeah.
you can do to fill the pipe and get close, you may get it, but never ever, you can never revise your goals, because it's just failing yourself. But it's not that, failing at it's not the big deal. It's failing yourself. Is what I would do is both of you together is whatever you're doing for prospecting and lead gen right now, ×2, ×4, whatever you feel.
Absolutely.
With your family and your kids, because I know you guys have kids, that is going to help fill. I think that maybe I know you guys are branding and you guys are spending time on it and you're just getting in, so there's an acclimation period. But to help you get to your goals, what I'm trying to get you guys there.
And we've been preaching it all in for quite a while, right? And that's why I come back to that one thing with what's the single most effective thing to move the needle in your business right now, today. Do that, do more of that, do that all day long. Stop doing anything else that's not that. Yes, sweet Carl.
So,
Sweet Carl.
they don't let me come in until the end of class because I'm a troublemaker. When you talk about failing forward and failing faster, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, no, don't revise your goals. So I challenge that in the sense that I've been there before, and it kind of depends on the personality. But if I've got, 6, 12, 24, it doesn't matter, I've got X amount percentage done by the end of June, I'm halfway through this random thing, which is, it's some nebulous goal over a 12-month period, which is whatever, but you want to escalate your activities, and from your perspective, picking up 24 deals, no big deal, okay? But when you look at where you're coming from when you're new at it, sometimes and you haven't ever done it before, you had to just pick something out of the air, right?
Well,
and so when you say don't revise, sometimes you have this goal, then you emotionally feel, well, this is me as a pissant person in the trenches, okay? Sometimes you
But,
feel
Carl, but when-
overwrought, you feel...
I get it, but
But
that's
don't
the
revise
but
the
that's
ultimate goal, I think
Yeah,
is the point.
that's the
Don't
point
lower
of
your
failing.
standards.
Because when you fail is when you learn from it. And all revising it is allowing you, you set a goal, you set a commitment, and you're just gonna go back and change your commitment.
So why
Well,
not
the
add
idea
another,
is to, real quick-
I'm with you, but add another goal then, okay, that says, you know what, damn it,
Stop
I've
being
got
a
this
percent.
goal, okay, and I'm not gonna revise it, but I'm gonna make a goal for third quarter to do 12 transactions in third quarter.
Absolutely, you can
okay?
add,
Do you see what I'm saying?
Well,
The
adding
idea
and
is-
revising to
the
me is
idea is
too.
that you-
I'm not gonna change the original.
is that you wake up every single morning and you have the activity level of a $20 million a year producer, right? Because that's what I'm going to do this year. I'm going to do $20 million in sales. Every day I wake up, I'm a $20 million a year guy or gal, right? I'm off my pace of 20 million. I'm only going to do 8 this year, it looks like. So maybe I should just revise my goal to 11. And now I got to wake up and now I'm an $11 million guy.
I understand.
But adding to it,
Right.
I'm okay with adding to
Right.
it, that's
Perfect.
cool.
I love
But
that.
you want to, you can't go back on what you said, it ruins the mindset, in my opinion, and the momentum. Because if you don't get there, that's not the point. The point is the frequency of which you're doing your activities, it's you're giving it everything.
Shoot
And-
for the stars,
and that
Land
fails.
on the moon, or how's it go? Shoot for the moon, land amongst the stars.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Whatever,
I'll
Land
just jump in
amongst them.
real quick kind of to that point. My prior life, I was a corporate behavior coach and worked for mostly Fortune 50 companies and helping them wrap their heads around things like what we're talking about. But the revision of the goal and starting off with this big, hairy, audacious goal, that as we put it down on paper, you're like, holy shit, that's a big number. Is that going to happen given that we're so fresh in? Probably not, maybe not, but we're going to do everything we can to get there. And certainly getting to this point where it's June and soon to be July right around the corner, like, good gosh, that big number's not going to happen. But it's challenging myself and Christine to wrap our heads around what are we going to do? It's like being at war. If the enemy's breathing down your neck and taking it, you've got to make a different plan because surrender's not the option.
But the goal is the same.
But the goal's the same, right? And to me, surrendering is part of saying, well, I'll just take that goal and I'm going to notch it down.
But I know what you're saying, Carl, though, by adding, and that's a great point.
Yeah, add a new-
adding
add a
it, like,
new-
you know what?
yeah.
It's still my goal, but now it's like, I gotta get 12 more. I gotta at least do that.
Failure is
I
not
get
acceptable.
that.
In other words, I just want to add that piece that says, I can't change it, so I'm just gonna
Right.
become more mired in mediocrity, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's a good point, everybody,
You
so.
just add a short term that gets you pumped up again.
Right.
But you do learn along, that's like with us, when we had so many buyers trying to figure out, and it was a work smarter, not harder, when we had our showing assistant, and it within the last 2 years with the market like it is for buyers, especially in the FHA range, a lot of those buyers I never saw until inspection day. My showing assistant was out there, found a house, called me, I'm an agent right now, they want to make an offer, I have the offer written, I was in-house, had the offer written, so we strategically, helped our buyers that way because there's multiple offers on
There you go.
every property.
That's
So
a
I was
leverage.
And that's a
in-house
leverage, yeah.
calling the agent, saying, hey, we're sending an offer over, what do you need to see, what do you want to see? Have it written and in the email for the buyer. By the time they got home with the showing agent, they were back out with someone else. And that was not just leveraging my time, but helping our buyers
Yeah.
to where
And that's a
weren't
great
taking
point.
them out.
Good example.
Yeah, it's a perfect example. I mean, that's a leverage point. in
Looking
and
at
of itself,
100
right there.
houses, because by the time you
Yeah.
got in, it was already under contract, and
Yep.
so there are things depending on what your business, if it's based on buyers right now, especially in that range, you know, if there's somebody in that can be even, you know, I was more of an admin person, not a people person, so I was good back calling the agents and writing the offers, but if you're the people person and you have someone back at the office throwing that offer together and, you know, getting the pre-qual and all of that done before that
And that's it.
definitely
Again, that's what-
leverage
yeah.
for our clients, and, you know, they're like, why didn't we see you? Well, I was writing your offer, I
Yeah.
got you in, and then I would see them at inspection and walk through.
Right.
and-
Ideally, trying to
Right.
deliver a high level of service, and hopefully they can see that and feel that, and, you know, get deals done.
And you do,
But that's
with
where
a
I challenge.
team, you have to sell
Yeah.
them, you know, with a transaction coordinator and a showing agent, you have to sell them
Right.
how it benefits them.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's why I challenge you guys to, again, it's all of us challenging ourselves to have that CEO mindset, right? I mean, again, I can't say it enough, you're all CEOs in your business. You have to walk, talk, act, perform like that. You know, we have a responsibility to identify every single day. Is this the best use of my time? Is this? Is this? I can get rid of this and that. I should probably still do this, right? Every single day, right? Because it all comes back to the one thing. We can't harp on that enough. You know, if your business isn't where it is, if you're not meeting your numbers, what's the one thing? That's all you should be doing. You know, maybe now why it's a, you know, obviously a loose fitted team. Maybe one takes one or one takes, you know, and like you're all in. You have to go all in on what's moving. Because guys, like you've heard us probably say, now is the time, right? I mean, you guys know the market is absurd right now, right? I know interest rates are going up, and all these little things are happening and stuff, but I mean, now it's crazy. We have to capitalize on it. You know, you have to capitalize on it right now. Does anyone have anything right now? There's obviously everyone's at, you know, different, you know, points in their business. Does anyone have anything right now that they feel maybe they're at a sticking point, or just kind of trying to bust through a particular ceiling?
Whose
wherever
hand
it
was
may be?
up there, back there? Was it you, John?
Yes, so you made a great point that where we are not good at just source it out, and then you keep doing stuff that you're good at. Great, so, and so I'm thinking about hiring a TC, right? But, and I've been doing well for one realtor, one-man show. But I don't have enough deals to keep my TC busy all the time. Probably that TC will be busy probably 1/10 of the time, you know, 40 hours a week. So how do I justify that expense?
That's why you use one of ours. So
Yeah.
what we
Just
have
per
is,
deal.
we have, our TCs are all per deal TCs. So the person that you bring on and you choose, that's not your full-time TC.
Yeah, you don't have to hire
They're
them.
working for lots of My Home Group agents. In some cases, other agents with other companies, but the ones we have here, they're all My Home Group agents and they're working for you. So they may have you, Mario, Carl, Lori, and a couple others. So that's where the leverage for you is. You're not gonna have to pay a 40 hours or 20 hours, you're just gonna pay on a per deal. So your situation, you should 100% do it. Just like Henry's gonna do it. You should be doing it.
I mean,
And it'll
the
be
goal
a
is
cost
that-
well spent.
Is the goal, I mean, again, you're paying $400 a file, right? And if you start to do a few deals, that could add up to a decent cost, right? Where saying, okay, well, I'm doing 4, 5, 6 deals a month now, right? I'm paying, you know, $1,600 or whatever it is per month. You know, could I bring somebody on full time?
That's the next step.
Maybe at X amount, so it's a little bit lower cost per deal, but they also do all these things, right? So they can be an all-in-one person, right? I mean, that's the goal. Again, every single agent on planet Earth that's gotten to a high level has got their admin help or their right-hand person. It just never fails.
All you're doing is contracting them out on a per deal basis. Because that's kind of that, like where Jamie's saying, the next step is that when your production reaches that level is your own TC. We would never expect you, unless you have an endless supply of cash, to go hire a 40 an hour a week person. That's not going to be the best use of your money or that person's time, because they're going to be twiddling their thumbs if you're only doing a couple deals a month. But for the one-off TC, this is perfect for you. Perfect. And if this personality doesn't work for you, guess what? There's 8 other to choose from. Because, and you can interview them too, and see what personality you best fit, or suited with.
So another
Excellent point. Now, do TCs have to be licensed real estate agents?
Ours, all of them for except one, if they aren't, they follow a certain checklist. They're not assistants, so it doesn't fall under the unlicensed assistants thing, but 99% of ours are. There's the one that isn't is kind of like the manager of things, but that's okay because she's really not going to be, but there's just certain functions they can't do, but all the others that you choose from are licensed here.
Thank you.
Oh, I was gonna spin out, like, if anyone else has any, like, pain points or trying to bust through a ceiling.
If someone's stuck at a certain number, they need to get to the next one.
Yeah.
It could be just.
How common do you find that people can hire a 20-hour-a-week kind of an assistant as opposed to a full-time? Is that common amongst realtors? Is that?
I mean, I think it's common amongst people, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go out of those, there's so many good sites out there, hiring sites right now, where you can just put out the profile of exactly what you're looking for.
Okay.
And I mean, these are things that you can even do in your personal lives too, right? I just have somebody that, helps out like a few hours or whatever, and I just, need them to come over at like 5 in the morning while I go to the gym, so my kids aren't alone. It's like, you can paint any picture you want, and you'll find somebody for it, right? I thought it was gonna be this big challenge and hard to do, but it's like, there's people that are looking, for exactly what you could be offering, or perfect, I need to attend at 2 before my work, at the restaurant at night, or whatever, right? I mean, yeah, just paint the picture, and it's out there for sure, And then again, guys, I mean, the hire, obviously people, like we talked about our own failures with hiring. I mean, obviously, it's an important thing to do. It's an important, I've never personally been a big believer in, the Disick Test, or not that I don't think that it works. I mean, I think that there's some power behind it, and it tells a story. But I've just been more of a heart and gut type of person. But again, that process is obviously very important, because you can lose time and money, obviously, with going down the wrong road. Trying to train somebody and getting them up to speed, and if they leave you. I mean, obviously, if you can find somebody that you can show the potential to what this could be, what can happen when we do get to here, and the opportunity that they can have, then there's good people out there.
Yeah, and what that disc is meant for, and the Miles Briggs and those others, are making sure if you're hiring an admin or person behind the desk, a lot of times an extroverted realtor type person who likes being on the go isn't going to work well in that. That's only really what it's for. If somebody who you're hiring and it's actually there for an admin position, you may not have to use that system. Just at least have them fill out the questions that you want, the important pieces of the job and what you're looking for, and you'll be able to find it. There are lots of people now looking for jobs. When we put it out there to Indeed and Craigslist, I mean, I think we had 200 applicants. It was out of control. So you'll be fishing once you get there. Not saying you do that now, but you'll be fishing or choosing the one you want.
So if anyone's not trying to break through a ceiling, I guess, what's getting in the way? I'll ask that question. If you're not where you're trying to be, or the next level, or not meeting the numbers, or not happy, or what is getting in the way?
Lack of focus and too many options.
Okay, so lack of focus, too many
There's a million
options.
ways to make a buck in this business, and you can turn around every morning and do something else to make a living.
So do you think maybe you're focusing on too many things and not one or two?
Do you have ADD?
You know, for
We know that, John. We know John does. Because you have a specific set of skills.
Yeah.
Is that from a movie?
I don't know. That is a specific set of skills. I will find you, and I will kill you. But no, you need to. I watch you from afar, and we talk a lot on Boomtown stuff. But you need to. Yeah, I know what kind of couch you got and all that stuff. Yeah, your new living room set looks great. But you need to hone it in.
Yeah.
You said you're focused on too many options out there, and you're right.
Yeah.
There are a lot, but you can't be everything to everyone, just like you can't do every type of pillar in this business.
Yeah, for me, I woke up maybe 10 years ago and just decided I was not going to work evenings and weekends, and that was that. And business dropped off to a level, but I was able to keep my wife home and was able to work and support us and everything else for those years. And about a year ago, I woke up and said, I'm going to start getting back into it.
Go to
early.
sleep a lot, huh?
What's it? and it was good. I was a
Then you
great
wake up.
run. I met my goals and did everything I wanted to do during those years. But when I woke up, the industry platform had changed so much. You know, it wasn't what built my business. And 10 years of surviving off the phone ringing with repeat clients and referrals and stuff, that was great. But it was never growing. It was business that stayed really at the same level. And for me, it's just a matter of getting into this new world and figuring out how to survive it. Because what I did before isn't necessarily.
Well, right now, what do you think?
What's getting in the way of you
is-
making more calls?
Is the problem? Yeah.
It's too many things for me.
What things?
Wanting to get leads from Facebook. It's wanting to get leads from sources that I've never tapped into before and being distracted.
What do you think out of these things? What do you think the 2 or 3 you do the best? You're good on the phone, you're good at talking to people.
Yeah.
So what are the things you think you do the best? And I think you need to just kill everything else. Because you're trying to do all these, you know, you're hearing this that works for somebody, this works for somebody,
Right.
and they probably do, but
Right.
you gotta understand that I would bet, 90% of their efforts are there, as opposed to trying to do everything that's working out. I think that's really what you have to do is you're here, we see you a lot, you're
Well, what are the
working,
numbers?
but like,
And what do the numbers look like, right? I mean, if you're on the online lead gen space, Facebook,
Yeah.
PPC, whatever it is, what's it look like in terms of not just the dollars spent, but the times that you're making? If you make 100 cold calls, right? Because that's what you got to be if you're going to get into that space.
Sure.
Plenty of people having success with it. Online lead gen for days, but they have to be a dialer, or you got to hire a dialer, right, to make the phone calls. What does that look like? What's the return like? What's that look like on the P&L?
Right.
How much time, how much money are you spending, but then how much time are you spending?
Yeah.
Right? And what would happen if you made 100 cold calls from people to Facebook that don't really want to talk to us so much, or 100 calls into our database or our friends and family or past associates or whatever? Right?
Yeah, and that's where my focus got. This last year especially, it was kind of my business plan and somebody else's business plan, and attempting to make both of those business plans work, and it became very distracting for me because I was doing stuff that, honestly, I got no passion for, chasing stuff that I had no desire for in the first place. And I'm fine. It's only been a short time that I've started to hone and focus on getting back to the core of what I do, and that's really only been the last week.
You gotta be the CEO.
Yeah,
You gotta be the CEO. You can't do everything. You can't do it all. Nobody in here can do it all. You have to make the decisions.
Yeah.
Right? Guys, when Mark was talking about earlier, when we did this, I mean, we made the decision, right? Again, I know a lot of these things you guys have probably heard on different channels because, we're talking on a few different channels, but what's the hardest part of stopping smoking? Saying, I'm done, making the decision. I'm done, right? Making the decision is hands down the hardest part. Of course, you're gonna have times where it's terrible and you're trying to get through it and all that, but the hardest part of it all is saying, I'm done. I'm done, right? So it's the same thing we have to do in our business. You have to make the decision that you are the CEO and that you're going to operate like one, right? You can't be doing I wish Carl was in the room, you can't be doing little pissant shit, right? You have to be doing the highest and best use of your time. You've already said, right out of the gate, with the highest and best use of your time, what's the highest and best, right? There's no excuse for us not to be doing more of that. Period. There's no excuse. Go ahead.
I think you answered part of it, but I just wanted some clarity. When you say do what CEO do, what do they do?
Well, that's a good question. So the point of it, I love that.
So what the hell did they do?
The point of it is when you look at an organization, like if you just take my home group and you take what we do and you break out my functions, Jereme's functions, our CFO, our Chief Financial Officer, our managers, and our brokers. Every single person has a function. The CEO's job is to manage departments. The Chief Executive Officer, their job is to manage every single department within the organization, and those heads of those departments are going to answer to him. And his or her job is to be certain each one of them are running at the highest frequency they can in their position. So whether you're Coca-Cola, whether you're my home group, whether you're a totally different, Dun & Edwards painting company, the CEO's job is to manage each department. So what are you doing as a CEO of your real estate company? Your job is to manage the transaction. So when you manage the transaction, you're managing the transaction coordinator, right? You're making sure he or she is doing their job, pushing the file to close. If you're the CEO of the real estate transaction, your job is to be certain that your buyer or seller is doing everything they need to do on their side to get through to closing. If you're the CEO of the transaction, your job is to make sure, if you're the buyer's agent, that the listing agent, that you're holding them accountable to their job. You're like a project manager. So a CEO is like a project manager. They manage all the moving parts. They're not doing them all. They're checking in. This is happening, this should be happening, this isn't happening. If it's not, your job is to make sure that it starts to and that it does. So it's you're the hierarchy. You're the one that's looking down from a 30,000-foot view of everything and being certain that those functions are being completed.
I'd ask this, are you running a business? You know, are you the boss? Do you have a P&L? Do you have operating agreements? Right? Do you have things systematized in the way that your business operates? Right? You know, and the way that I was kind of referring to is that, you know, while we have a mindset around here that, like, whatever it takes, you know, we'll pass out flyers for, that's like our running jokes, like we'll pass out flyers for an event or whatever, like, nothing's below us, that's just a mentality, right? That's a mindset, like, it's all hands on deck, whatever it takes, nothing's below us, nothing's below any of our staff, right? I mean, that's a belief system. But at the same time, you have to have the CEO mindset of, do you interview for listings? No. CEOs don't interview. It's your listing. You walk in there. You're the best for the job. You're the CEO. You're the best. You walk in like you already have it. You're predicting in the future, we should probably do this. We should probably do this. Let me make sure that I'm inspecting everything very well because I want to do things very thorough, right? And, you know, and then I'll probably get everything scheduled around, you know. I already got it. Like, I don't interview. You don't interview for listings. You are the one, right? CEOs don't interview. You know what I mean? So that's a mindset. And so, you know, we talk about acting like a CEO. You know, all of our time is at a premium, right? No matter where we're at, what we do, we have lives, we have events, we have family, friends, whatever it may be. So it's, you know, the CEO mentality has what can I be removing off my plate? What can I sub out? Who can I invest in? Right? How can I grow through people? You know, that's how we've always grown. We used to do it all. And I'm not saying maybe you're in the point in your business right now where you have to do it all. I get it. Right?
And that's what.
Yeah, but it's a mindset.
You have to have
Right? The mind has to arrive before the business arrives, before the body arrives, right? The mind has to be out there thinking, acting, walking, talking before you get there. Right? So, again, we've always been big believers in growing through people. You know, growing, and again, it's like the things that you can remove, that you can get off, that's not the best use of your time. You know? Again, we're the same way right now. Time is such a premium for us. All these different things that we're doing, and this, you know that it has to be the highest and best use. Constantly evaluating the highest and best use. Is this the best? Can I execute on this? Right? Is it going to make money? Is it going to add value? Right? So very, very long-winded questions into what it is. See, and anyone else have anything? I mean, guys, this wasn't supposed to be the Mark and Jeremy show. I mean, it was supposed to be more of a kind of a loose-fitted mastermind. So I mean, again, you know, if anyone has anything along those lines, by all means, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering. I see your list of top 25, and you talk about recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how your set of skills is so good to recruit. You know, Joshua Smith, Daniel Bernarza, Alan Kay, all those top heavy hitters. When I look at HomeSmart, the only heavy hitter I see is Bobby Lee. I don't see any other. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just
No, that's what makes you're spot on, bro. You're spot, yeah. That's what makes us different.
I see Jason Mitchell, all those guys.
I think part of the reason is, you know, we're like you're out there prospecting. Like I said before, we know we're really good at recruiting, and part of the reason we have good people here is the platform that we've provided. We go on a mindset of building businesses and coaching and training and all this stuff, as opposed to, you know, HomeSmart's a good organization, but they're more of let's hire. We're more of let's bring on the best. We want the best to work here, because then the best are going to want to come, and then more people follow. And like-minded people, like entrepreneurs like Mitchell and Smith and Barraza and all those guys, they're all going to want to collaborate and work together. The best want to be alongside the best. The best don't want to talk to the low-level people, and I mean that they just don't. They want to run circles with the best. They're not going to sit and have a conversation with some low level. That's just how they are. So for us, it was like, how do we create a platform for the best to work off of? So that's what we've been working on the last, call it 17 years, is we have a platform that you can come here, you can grow. The top producers come here because they can grow their business. They're treated like a business owner. We treat people like business owners, like CEOs, because that's what this is. If you're not doing it, that's why we're talking now. If you're not doing it and treating it like a business, then why are you even doing real estate? You know? So that's part of the reason, you know, and it's become a prestigious list because of that, and that's also another reason why people come here. Is they want to get on the list. They want to run with those folks, you know. And we take a concerted effort to help everyone grow. That's our jobs. Nothing's beneath us as owners. We want to see everyone get. We want to see everyone get on the list. We'd like to take the time to help grow. It's not about just hiring an agent and getting to agent count like the others out there. It's about, truthfully, we're in the business of growing businesses. That's what we do. So that's another long answer to your question, but that's part of the reason. It's more along the lines of the platform we have and who's here and who we're attracting.
Yeah, culture, energy,
culture,
collaboration, all the things that we're doing, like everyone wants to be a part of that, I think. Not everybody, obviously, but I think folks want to be a part of that. They want to be around energy and culture and collaboration, and, you know, like the fact that we are involved and we are trying to lead with value. And, you know, guys, that's what we try to do, you know, to everyone, you guys in the room, and I guess everyone on the camera here, is like, you know, we talk every single week on how we can deliver more value. You know, hopefully you guys got something out of today, of some note that you guys can take back to your business. And if you can't, tell us what morons we are, and we need to hear it. You know what I mean?
Well, what we can.
But I mean, the goal is that we're having these conversations, right? Like, we want to facilitate these conversations. You know, we want you guys to have these conversations, to be talking with each other. You know, I mean, again, to answer your question, A players want to be around A players, right? You know, CEOs want to be around CEOs because they can push each other. It's not because they, you know, like, it's not that they can't hang out with other people, but it's like, we should all also be trying to reach up in relationships. You know, who out there do you know that you can reach up to in a relationship, right? Who do you know that is in a relocation department? Who do you know that's, you know, working for a big firm, or, you know, a divorce attorney, or like, who
big
do you
CPA,
know, or
who's in that different business,
that you can reach out to in the relationship in an effort to rekindle or rebuild or build a relationship, right?
Does that help answer your question?
Yeah.
No.
He's got another one.
Well, yeah, I don't know. If nobody mind, I just kind of.
Go ahead.
Well, when you're growing, when you talk about growing your brokerage, are you more recruiting, or are you thinking of doing like some other brokerage where you can buy up another brokerage?
Do you work for HomeSmart?
Yeah.
He does. He does.
He's like, what
So-
are your guys' plans?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do next?
It's a combination, to be honest. It's a combination of both. We have acquired before.
Are you for sale?
You know, what we do, we always are looking at opportunities. I mean, our main bread and butter as far as how we do is recruiting. We like going teams is a big one for us. That's why we have a lot of teams. Is we like to go after and seek out the next great team that wants to grow their business. And that could be here, that could be in Washington, it could be in California, it could be in Michigan. Those are the markets that we're in. So, and here in Arizona, it's been more teams. We've had opportunities that came up. We have acquired another brokerage. It was a 130-person brokerage, and we did take them over. We've absorbed some 15, 20-person brokerages. We're in the process of a couple that I can't even say the count right now, but Yes, it's a little bit of both, but our main objective is not go find all these companies and buy them. We seek out opportunities.
You know, our goal, one of our goals for a long time is to continue to raise the IQ of the organization. People that are doing it at a high level, you know what I mean? We just, you know, the folks that, you know, all you guys in this room collectively, I mean, you guys are all here for a reason, in the room today for a reason, because you want to grow, you want to share, you want to collaborate. You know, and a lot of our top folks, they fit that mold too, which is,
Yeah.
you know, they're open books, and you can call them, you know, and you can pick their brain, or they're here for Workshop Wednesday, or they're doing things, right? I mean, or we're, you know, in sessions with them, picking their brains, knowing how they operate, so that we can obviously then share it with them.
Yeah, we learn from them too.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's a give and take. I mean, that's the goal of everything we're trying to do. So. Yes.
What else does the mole have for us?
He's like, I've been with you guys for 4 years.
I have one more. I have one more. I don't want to take that on.
Hey, no one else. If no one else has a
If no one else,
question, we got a couple
feel free.
minutes.
I think we're all getting
We
some
got-
amusement
we got
out of
2
this.
minutes.
Is good.
Yeah.
They're good questions. They're good questions.
Well, you talk about like you talk about you know your numbers and stuff, and you know for the last 4 years I've been like one sale a month agent, right? So that's pretty much consistent. And my glass ceiling is 2 sale. I can't seem to go above 2 sale. So I'm trying to do different things to go there, but I've always stayed at 1 sale. Sometime I end the year with 14 sale, 15 sale, but it's not the 24 sale that I like to do. I'm only 4 year in, so I'm trying to figure out a way my 5th year to be a 2 sale a month agent.
Where's your
Right now,
business?
stuck
Where's
at
your
one-
business come from right now?
A lot of networking, you know, like a lot of Facebook, you know, just a lot of activities.
Did you grow up here?
Sorry?
Did you grow up here?
No.
No.
Yeah.
So you've been in the, so you're it's a lot of connection. You're making relationships with folks, and you're getting a lot of referral business from them through networking at events, through Facebook. Is that
Yeah, just like.
is that all? Are you doing any type of prospecting or lead generation for, let's say, sellers or buyers, like open houses, door knocking, canvassing neighborhoods, any type of farming?
No, I stay away from. I mean, I don't do open house unless it's my own listing. I don't do Zillow. I try that. I stay away Zillow or any of those lead generation. I rather market my own.
Have you ever thought of adding a prospecting activity like open houses or even door knocking sellers into your business plan?
I mean, yeah, but like, just it's not my thing.
I
just
guarantee
find
you to
something
average
that's-
an extra sale a month on how you're functioning right now. The fact that you're doing 12
Well, what is your
or
one
so
thing?
is good.
What is your one thing then?
What's the one thing you do the best?
Just marketing.
So
On Facebook or?
Wherever, anything I can do to market.
to generate inbound people that
Yeah.
are.
So what about marketing a neighborhood?
Oh, I do that too.
Okay, great.
Um,
And is it direct mail? Is it all Facebook marketing when you market to them?
I sprinkle, like, you know, just sometime, you know, mailer, and, you know, Facebook, things like that.
Okay,
I mean, that would be my one recommendation. The one thing, 1 or 2 things that you think are working the best, that have the best results, and go all in on that. I would stop sprinkling, right? Because
consistency.
consistency is the thing, right? The consistent message. I'd get away from all the things over here, and I'd try to hone in on 1 or 2 things that are the most effective, and go all in on those.
Out of those 12
Right.
sales a year, how many of them come from direct networking, face-to-face activities that you're doing?
None.
None. So it's all from afar. It's your networking,
Yeah.
it's your marketing fee.
Yeah.
So, like Jeremy said, when you say you're sprinkling, what if you up those efforts 3-4 times more per month?
Eventually I would have to do that, because, I'm stuck at
You know,
one cell.
again, I say this, I don't know what stops you or blocks you from doing an open house or door knocking. Open houses and door knocking are 2 very effective ways. You're working with now people, so open house, the now buyers. You get to talk to plenty of people that are walking inside, that are looking at a home. They're most likely max 6 months out from doing something. You also get to circle prospect around that listing. You can go talk to sellers around there. You can invite them to your open house. It's a very good way to fill up the pipeline and to start making really meaningful connections and relationships that you wouldn't have had before. It really is. That'll help you, hands down, get to that next level. And you said you're with HomeSmart?
Yeah.
So when you join my home group, we'll talk with you more about it.
And that's how it's done.
And we're done. That's good. Anything else from anybody? We actually are a little over on
Yeah,
time.
we gotta.
I have just one quick question. So the assistants to be licensed or unlicensed?
Assistants should be licensed. However, there is a form, and if you remember to email me, I will send you the statutes on the department's website on the functions, what they can and cannot do. But it is allowed, it's just they're very limited on what they're allowed to do. So I'd recommend a licensed one.
You can't pay them commission, it has to be like a set amount.
It has to be a set amount, could never be based on production. All right, guys.
All right, guys.
Well, thanks,
Rock and roll.
appreciate you guys coming. This is
Thank you.
good to know you guys want to grow. You guys want to grow your businesses, I love it.
Let's turn this off.
I think Kelly comes in and turns it off.
Yeah.
Or that did it.
There you go.